Hello student, welcome our channel, the one and only Physics Point. And this is the lecture number 5. In this lecture, we have started discussions of the rate of chemical reactions and the factors affected on the rate of chemical reactions. What is the rate of chemical reactions? In which some chemical reactions are taken more time to complete their converted into the reactant into the product or complete their reaction, and some chemical reactions taken very quickly or taken a small amount of time to complete their reactions. And the speed of the chemical reactions is also known as the rate of chemical reaction. And some factors are affected on the rate of chemical reactions. First one is the nature of reactants. The reactants is a more metallic, or the reactions are metallic, or their natures are also depends on the rate of chemical reaction. Second one, the concentrations of the reactants. If the reactants is more concentrated, that means they are more reactive, or the rate of chemical reaction is more. And the third one is the size of reactants, or particle size of the reactants. If the size of particles is more of that reactant, that means these reactions are taken more time to complete, and that means the rate of chemical reactions is inversely proportional to the size of the particles. And fourth one is the temperature of the reactants, or temperature of the surrounding, or temperature provided of that chemical reactions. If the temperature is more, that means the reactions are complete more quickly, or rate of chemical reaction is more. And last one is the catalyst. Catalyst, it is the substance which does not involve physically in that chemical reactions, but they are helpful or push the reactions are completed, or the push that reactions to the reactant are completed into the product. These are some factors which are affected on the chemical reactions, or rate of chemical reactions. The rate of chemical reactions is also known as the speed of the chemical reaction. Some reactions are taken more time to complete, and some reactions are take a less amount of time to complete the reactions. For example, we are burn a gas, that means they are quick reactions to complete the burning. And some, the rusting of metals or rusting of ions, they have the more amount of time to complete their reactions. When we take a baking soda and dissolve in the water hydrogens on and carbon dioxides are emitted more fastly. That means these chemical reactions have the more rate of reactions, or the speed of the chemical reaction is more. Their reactions are completed quickly. And another one is the curd. The milk is converted into the curd. They're taking a more amount of times. And these are some examples of the rate of chemical reactions are different of that example or that chemical reactions. And the important point is factors affected on the rate of chemical reactions. Factors affecting the rate of chemical reaction. Factors affecting on the rate of chemical reaction. Please take the heading. Then are the factors affecting on the rate of chemical reactions. Rate of chemical reactions is the speed of that chemical reactions which are converted reactant into the product more frequently or more fastly. These are some factors. First one is, that is the nature of reactants. Nature of reactant. This is the first factor. When the aluminium is dissolved, or aluminium is reacted with the hydrochloric acid, when the aluminium is kept in or dissolved in the hydrochloric acid, these are emitted more hydrogen more frequently than the aluminium chloride plus hydrogen gets emitted. Please balance this equation. I will be teaching how to balance the chemical equation with the help of some rules. Then AlCl3, aluminium chloride, aluminium trichloride are also emitted, and hydrogen is gets out as a byproduct from that chemical reactions. And what happens when the zinc is also react with the hydrochloric acid? Zinc is react with the hydrochloric acid. They form zinc chloride, and H2 hydrogen is gets emitted as in the form of gas. That means the aluminium is react with hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid. They converted into the hydrogen chloride, aluminium chlorides and water. These reactions are more fast. That means F for the fast and S for the slow. That means the rate of chemical reactions of the aluminium when it is reacted with the hydrochloric acid is more. The rate of chemical reactions when the zinc is reacted with the hydrochloric acid is less. That means the rate of chemical nature or rate of chemical reactions is also depends on the nature of reactants. If there are also depends on the nature of chemical reaction. The second one, B, that is size of particles. Size of particles of reactants. Size of particles of the reactants. When we take a calcium carbonate, when the calcium carbonate is dissolved in HCl to give calcium chloride plus calcium chloride plus carbon dioxide plus H2O. Please balance this chemical equations. This is for your homework. When the calcium carbonate is dissolved in the HCl, they are converted into the calcium chloride, carbon dioxide, and water. And the crystal of the calcium chloride, this is considered, this is the HCl, and we are kept through the calcium carbonate crystals deep in the HCl, hydrochloric acid. That means they take a more amount of time to release the carbon dioxide and formation of waters, or they form the calcium chloride as a salt. That means what happens when we crust these crystals and form a powder, then dissolve these calcium carbonate powder in the HCl, their reactions is more fast, or the rate of that chemical reaction is more as compared to the rate of chemical reactions when the calcium carbonate crystals is dissolved in HCl and calcium carbonate powder is dissolved in HCl. They are taken a different time to complete their reactions. That means if the size of the particle is less, the rate of chemical reaction is more, and size of particle is larger, that means the rate of chemical reaction is less. Then the rate of chemical reaction, rate of chemical reaction, rate of chemical reaction is inversely proportional to, is inversely proportional to size of size of particle of the reactants. When we try to make a sherbet and we take a crystal of sugar and try to dissolve it in the water, we are trying help to stirring, then these sugar or crystal of the sugars are completely dissolved in the water with the help of stirring. But what happens when we take the powder of sugars and they are dissolved in the water, they are dissolved more fastly as compared to the crystal of sugars and without taking help of stirring. That means the particle size is affected, the particle size of the reactants is affected on the rate of chemical reaction. The size of particle is more or larger, that means the rate of chemical reaction is slow or rate of chemical reaction is less. The third one, concentration. Third one is concentration of reactants. In a chemical laboratory, in chemistry lab, they have two types of the solutions or two types of the chemical. One is a dilute solution, another one is a concentrated solution. We taken two different solutions, that is HCl as a dilute solution and HCl, hydrochloric acid, as a concentrated solutions. What is the difference between the concentrated and dilute? The concentrated means in a unit volume of the water, the HCl molecules is more, and the dilute means the unit volume of or unit water solutions, or in the unit water there are less amount of HCl and in the unit water there are more amount of HCl. For example, we take 1 liter water and we dissolve the 20 ml of HCl, of HCl in that chemical reactions. And after that, complete dissolving, then we are continuously adding the water. That means these solutions are changes concentrated to the dilute. They get diluted. But why? Because the HCl molecules are less amount as compared to the water molecule. They are converted to the dilute. Then the HCl water, sorry, HCl solution is diluted and HCl solution is concentrated. These both are react with the calcium carbonate. Again, the calcium carbonate crystal is react with the dilute HCl, and they taken more time to complete the reactions because the already the HCl molecule is a dilute, or HCl solution is a dilute, HCl reactant is a dilute. That means they take more time to complete this reaction or convert it into the calcium chloride, carbon dioxide, and water. Please again complete this chemical reaction or balance this chemical reaction. When this calcium carbonate is react with the concentrated HCl, concentrated hydrochloric acid, these reactants are completed more fastly as compared to the calcium carbonate is reacted with the dilute hydrochloric acid. These are the one of the example of this is the concentrations of the reactants are also affected on the rate of chemical reaction. The concentrated of chemical reactions, the concentration of chemical uh, reactants is more. That means the rate of chemical reaction is more. That means the rate of chemical reaction is directly depends or directly affected, directly depends on the concentration of chemical reactants. The concentration of reactants are affected on the rate of chemical reaction. Then fourth one is temperature. Fourth one is temperature. The temperature is also most important things. When we are trying to make a curd by the milk, and at the night of the winter season, we converted the milk into the curds and taken the more time or whole night to complete the milk into the curd. But these similar reactions are tried to complete in the summer season. Summer season, the temperature of the surrounding temperature of the atmosphere is more as compared to the temperature of atmosphere in the winter season. That means these chemical reactions or the milks are more fastly converted into the curd in the summer season. That's why, because the temperature of the reactions is more. That means the rate of chemical reaction is more. Temperature temperature of reaction is directly affected on the rate of chemical reaction. If the temperature of the surrounding is more, that means this chemical reaction is happened more fastly, completed more fastly. If the temperature is less, the chemical reactions is complete or taken more time to complete that reactions. These are some factors which are affected on the rate of chemical reaction. First one is the nature of reactants. Second one, the size of particles of the reactants and the concentration of reactant. Third one, and fourth one is the temperature. Temperature of the reactions is directly affected on the rate of chemical reaction. If the temperature is more, that means the rate of chemical reaction is more. The temperature is less, the rate of chemical reaction is less. If we adding two different solutions to form one of the reactions, for example, the calcium chloride is adding dissolving in the dilute HCl, they are taken the more time. If we are applying the heat of that test tube in which the both solutions are added, this reaction happens more fastly. That means the temperature of the reactions is directly depends on the rate of chemical reaction. These are some examples as well as some factors which are affected on the rate of chemical reaction. The last one is catalyst. What is the catalyst? Catalyst, it is one of the chemicals or physical components which does not take a part in the chemical reaction directly, but they can be push the convert reactant into the product of that chemical reaction. This is the function of a catalyst. The third one is catalyst. If we use one of the catalyst, then these reactions happen more fastly. The last one is catalyst. What is the catalyst? Catalyst, it is any physical or chemical component. It is physical or chemical components. Physical or chemical components which complete the reaction. The reaction which complete the reaction doesn't involve doesn't involve it, or the catalyst, it is the physical or chemical component which are they complete the chemical reactions, does not, and it does not involve the chemical reaction. Then we apply some amount of heat. Heat is one of the catalyst which is not involved in the chemical reactions, but they are push the reactant to the product. And catalyst is also important. Catalyst is also plays the important role to complete the chemical reactions or increase the speed of the chemical reaction. When we take a small amount of sodium chloride crystals, sodium chloride crystal, and try to dissolve in a water, these are completely dissolved or taken long time without applying the heat. To complete the sodium chloride is completely dissolved in the water to take the more time for completely dissolving. But when we apply the heat of these reactions or these solutions, the sodium chloride is dissolved more fastly in that chemical reaction. That is the sodium chloride form solution, sodium chloride solution. These are the some factors which are affected on the rate of chemical reactions. If the rate of chemical reaction is more, that means these some factors are affected on that. First one is nature of chemical or nature of reactants. The nature of reactants is more metallic. That means the reaction, the rate of that chemical reaction is more. Second one is, and the second one is the size of particles of the reactants. If the size of particles is larger, that means the rate of chemical reaction is less. The size of particles is smaller, that means the rate of chemical reaction is more. Then the third one is the concentration of reactants. If the calcium carbonate is dissolved in a dilute HCl and calcium carbonate is again dissolved in the concentrated HCl, the rate of chemical reactions or time duration between both reactions are different because they're using different solutions. One is a dilute solution, that means the HCl is a less amount present, less amount of HCl are present in the unit solutions, and in the concentrated, the HCl is more present. The amount of HCl is more in the unit solutions. Then third one is the temperature. Temperature is most important factors which are affected on the rate of chemical reactions. We take the smallest of these reactions when the NaCl and H2O are dissolved itself with the help of some stirring. Without stirring, we apply some temperature or applying some heat of that unit solute. These reactions are completed more fastly. That means the rate of chemical reactions are directly depends on the temperature. And last one is the catalyst. Catalyst, it is the physical or chemical components which complete the reaction does not involve it. Without involving the catalyst in that chemical reaction, they are trying to complete or push the reactant to complete the convert into the product. These are some examples and factors which are affected on the rate of chemical reactions.